Welcome everyone to another edition of What's Working and Why, where I talk about a particular painting and break down the aspects that make it successful so we can translate those principles to our own work. This painting is Lake at Algoma by Lauren Harris. Lauren Harris was a Canadian painter and the founding member of the Group of Seven. He was a prolific painter with a very prodigious body of work. He had an interesting history as well, so he's fascinating to read about in addition to admiring his work. Lauren Harris said, "Art is long, life is short. A picture can become for us a highway between a particular thing and a universal feeling." I absolutely love this painting. I think it's a perfect blending of surrealism and realism. It's both inviting and haunting, which is quite the thing. This composition could be said to be a classic O in a sense. It's rather circular in its inception, and it has a main avenue into between these branches. We are invited into this mysterious landscape bathed in brilliant light through these sort of gates of the tree limbs. Also, those limbs are in half shadow, so there's light up here, which is heightening that sense of mystery and encouraging a sense of curiosity, I think, about what's beyond. And the limbs are really graceful and well designed, but still casual enough that we don't feel like it's contrived. Nothing in this painting is out of place or extraneous. The branches on the right side are leaning out of the composition, sort of kind of letting us have a pathway out, and these on the left are leaning in. This cast shadow on this tree trunk on the right tells us very clearly that this guy is behind this one, so he's giving us some clues that aren't real super obvious, but he's telling us where the elements of the painting are sitting in space. See, we don't really see the baseline, but he's told us in this other way, because here there's no overlapping, but this cast shadow does the job for us. So he's not leaving a lot of ambiguity in the painting. He's telling us where things sit. And this branch here in the middle, just this design, is literally gesturing, inviting us back into the distance of this composition. Let's talk about the values. The value setup is very interesting. We've got this brilliant light back here, and the foreground trees and the main tree trunks are in shadow, but that shadow is not so dark that we're losing the local color of these elements, so it's still got a lot of brilliancy in this foreground. Many times when we have this kind of situation where trees are in silhouette and we're looking through some kind of gateway or arch into distant light, the foreground gets so dark or almost black that there's really not any local color, but he's still giving us lots of wonderful things to explore here in the foreground. All right, let's talk about the distance. Those distant hillsides have a lot of grandeur, even though they're rather simple in their designs. These sort of little designs, pretty simple. But there's some complexity here in the gradation of the values that is suggesting aerial perspective. And he's also doing some other pretty wonderful things. Let's look at this tree trunk here as it heads into the out of the shadow and into the light. It's silhouetted by the distant hillside back here, which is dark enough in value that lets this come forward towards us. So there's these little subtle things going on here that if that wasn't the case, I don't think it's funny. It's a kind of a small thing, it seems like, but I don't think this painting would be nearly as strong if that weren't the case. So he's doing some really simple but very important things. Also, detail is kept to a minimum, but it's not missed. All the lines and masses are really thoughtfully designed and finessed. I think that's what I really appreciate the most about this painting. It's simple, but everything is thought out really, really carefully. There is no spot in the painting that attention has not been given to. I always talk about with my students that I want to pay attention to every square inch of my painting. That doesn't mean that I'm going to give equal emphasis to everything, but I am going to pay attention and make sure that I give equal thought to every single element in my paintings. And this painting, this is a great example of that, and I just really love it. So check out Lauren Harris, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of What's Working and Why.